Everything they taught you in school about the 1900s, it's incomplete. These photographs exist in museums and archives, but they're almost never shown in textbooks or documentaries. Why? Because they mess up the official story. They show heroes that society forgot, terrible things that were covered up, and beautiful moments of humanity in the worst times of history. In the next 18 minutes, you'll see what really happened. Nothing hidden, nothing censored, nothing forgotten. Welcome to Forbidden, where we bring forgotten history back to light. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss another story. Today, I'm showing you 87 photographs that will challenge everything you think you know. And there's one photo coming up later that shows a hero who carried ammunition during battle, and he wasn't even human. Let me start with warriors that history nearly forgot. During World War II, more than 400 Navajo Marines worked as code talkers. They created a secret code using their own language that the enemy could never break. Here's why it was genius. The Navajo language was never written down, and no Japanese codebreakers could figure it out. They turned military words into nature terms. Bombers became eagles. Submarines were ironfish. The Japanese never cracked the code, not even once. In 1919, the 369th Infantry, the Harlem Hellfighters, marched through New York City as heroes after fighting in World War I. These black soldiers spent more days in combat than any other American unit, but when they came home, they still faced racism. In 1917 London, women started working as window cleaners to prove that strength wasn't only for men. Red Cross nurses wrote down the last words of dying soldiers, keeping one final connection between these men and their families. These weren't the heroes in your history books, but they saved the world just the same. Now, heroism didn't only happen on battlefields. While some people fought with guns, others fought by refusing to give up on normal life. In 1940 London, a milkman delivered milk through streets filled with bombed buildings. Behind him, destroyed houses and smoke from last night's bombing. But there he is, doing his job like the world wasn't falling apart. This became what the British called keep calm and carry on, not just words, but real life. May 1945, a tired woman walks through the smoking ruins of Berlin, her clothes torn, her back bent from so much pain. Around 1,900 inches France, knife sharpeners worked lying flat on the ground, keeping dogs on their legs to stay warm during 12-hour shifts. In Louisiana, a poor family lived in a tent, showing both poverty and the will to survive. Remember this milkman and this Berlin woman. Their refusal to give up connects to everything else you're about to see. Technology didn't just help preserve memories. It also destroyed lives in new ways. During World War I, American soldiers looked at captured German flamethrowers. This weapon was one of the most terrifying things in trench warfare. These didn't just kill people, they broke their minds. Flamethrowers were actually legal until 1980, when countries finally agreed to restrict them. Here's a photo of a torpedo boat firing a Whitehead torpedo. Invented in 1866, it changed naval warfare forever. Before torpedoes, huge battleships ruled the oceans. The Whitehead ended that now a small boat could destroy a giant warship. The U.S. Navy tried dazzle camouflage on their ships, crazy patterns painted all over. These didn't make ships invisible. They confused enemy submarine crews trying to figure out which way the ship was going and how fast. And in 1897, sailors held a boxing match right on the deck of the USS Oregon. Even while preparing for war, men found ways to stay connected. If you've served in the military, drop a comment. Did sports help bring your unit together? Fashion showed changing freedom in ways that politics couldn't. In 1928, actress Evelyn Brent wore this amazing butterfly gown, made with real butterfly wings, illegal today. But back then, it showed Hollywood's over-the-top style. Jump to 1,966 people actually protested outside the House of Dior in London, defending the right to wear short skirts as a symbol of women's freedom. The miniskirt wasn't just clothing, it was women saying we control our own bodies. This 1,000 970 seconds photo shows Jane Birkin and her cool style. In America, high school girls wore bell-bottoms as youth rebellion. Around 1900, three women posed in beautiful hats showing women's dignity at the turn of the century. Fashion might seem unimportant, but it's actually a record of who had power and who was fighting for it. Fashion showed freedom growing, but some photos show freedom being stolen away. This next part is hard, but it's necessary. From 1915 to 1918, the Great Famine of Mount Lebanon killed 200,000 civilians during World War I, victims of a blockade that prevented food from getting through. Not soldiers, children, mothers, grandparents starved as a war tactic. In 1937 Nanjing, Japanese troops committed terrible acts. Historians think about 300,000 people died in 6 weeks. Many weren't soldiers, they were teachers, shop owners, farmers. 1965 Indonesia. People accused of being communists sit waiting to be killed. This brutal purge killed over 500,000 people in months. Many victims were just union workers or teachers labeled communist to justify murder. In 1943, under British rule, the Bengal famine killed millions in India. Food went to Allied soldiers, while Bengalis starved. This 1863 photo shows Gordon, an escaped slave, showing his scarred back in Baton Rouge. This became powerful proof in the fight against slavery. Those scars told a story that words never could. These darkest moments aren't ancient, some were caught on camera in the last century. We look at these not to feel bad, but to make sure we never forget what happens when people stop caring. Why don't schools teach this? Maybe it's easier to memorize dates than to face what they really mean. But here's the truth that dictators never learn. Every empire thinks it will last forever. Every wall eventually falls. In 1961, people in Berlin watched workers build the wall, a rough barrier that became the ultimate Cold War symbol. Families separated overnight. But in 1989, happy crowds climbed on top of the Berlin Wall, a huge moment showing the Cold War finally ending. The same wall that meant prison became a platform for celebrating freedom. In 1988, East German guards wearing gas masks look over the wall at protests in West Berlin. They're watching freedom from behind masks, trapped by the wall they guard. In May 1945, a Red Army soldier raised the Soviet flag over Berlin's Reichstag. Photographer Yevgeny Kalday staged this famous photo. Yes, it was set up, but the emotion was real. The Reich that promised to last 1,000 years only lasted 12. During the 1910 Paris flood, residents created walkways using café chairs to get around flooded streets. When government was too slow, Parisians built bridges from furniture. That's human spirit adapting, being creative, refusing to give up. While inventors dreamed about the future, photographers captured defining moments, some inspiring, some just weird. Not all history is serious. Some is strange. In the 1930 seconds, people hung baby cages outside apartments to make sure kids got sunlight. Eleanor Roosevelt supported them, city parents desperate to give kids access to nature. Someone invented a stroller with a radio built in a weird attempt to use technology to calm babies. In 1967, this experimental TV helmet tried to create personal viewing, a bizarre step toward the VR headsets we have today. There's a wax figure of Thomas Wetters showing his 7.5-inch nose, supposedly the longest in history. History isn't just wars, it's also the strange ways humans tried to solve problems. Can you imagine when baby cages made sense? When radio strollers were high-tech? These goodbyes weren't just personal sadness, they were moments that changed countries. This is the hardest image. During the Battle of Okinawa in May 1945, Colonel Francis Fenton mourns over his son's grave. Private First Class Mike Fenton, a father, a military officer, burying his own son on a foreign battlefield. This isn't propaganda, it's real grief caught on camera. Behind every war death number is a Colonel Fenton, a mom getting a telegram she never wanted. On the 23rd of September 1943, fathers said goodbye to sons at Detroit's Central Station. Some never came back. In 1917, a Red Cross nurse writes down a dying soldier's last words, "Gentle care, preserving one final connection." On the 27th of August, 1979, Lord Mountbatten's body was brought to shore killed by an IRA bomb on his fishing boat. If you're getting emotional, that's okay. These images should move us, they help us feel what was lost. These actions seemed small back then. History showed they were huge. In 1889 Damascus, blind Muslim Muhammad carried paralyzed Christian friend Samir. Their friendship is a timeless symbol of caring that breaks through all barriers. One man's legs, another man's eyes. Together, complete. On the 21st of September, 1955, Mose Wright stood in a Mississippi courtroom and pointed at Roy Bryant and J.W. Millam, naming them as Emmett Till's murderers. No black man in Mississippi had ever done this and survived. The courtroom went quiet. Wright's hand didn't shake. He knew he might be killed, but he pointed anyway. That's real courage. In August 1963, young Bernie Sanders was arrested protesting racial segregation. After 1917's Night of Terror, suffragettes protested, 33 women jailed and beaten, their bravery becoming a turning point for women's vote. During World War II, this Chinese American wore a sign saying, "I am Chinese," to avoid anti-Japanese hate. On the 11th of September 1973, Chile's President Salvador Allende faced a military coup. He refused to run and died defending his palace. These people didn't have armies or money. They had something more dangerous to dictators, the courage to say no. Do we still have that? Every photograph you've seen was taken by someone who thought the moment was important. They were right. From Navajo code talkers creating unbreakable codes, to London milkmen delivering through bombing, to Mose Wright pointing at murderers, these frozen moments changed the world. And they're still changing it every time someone like you chooses to remember. History isn't dead words in a textbook. It's a living memory in these pictures. Your grandfather's story, your grandmother's sacrifice, your ancestors' bravery, the Harlem Hellfighters who fought for a country that didn't fight for them, the milkman who wouldn't let bombs stop him. The father is burying his son, the man carrying his friend. The wall that fell because people decided it must. Don't let these stories disappear. If this reminded you why history matters, subscribe to Forbidian and ring that bell. Next video, I'm showing rare photos from when the Soviet Union collapsed. If someone should see this, share it. Because the only way history stays buried is if we let it. Thank you for this journey. Until next time, stay curious. History isn't behind us, it's all around us, waiting for someone to look